Okay, so this is the Surrealism Summative Project planning project. So I'm going to be giving you multiple options for your summative. Originally, I had told you guys here in person that it was going to be like half collage, half drawing. That is one of the options, but I realized that we're kind of at the end of the year, and hopefully you feel more comfortable making your own choices as opposed to me telling you what the project should be. Especially with a kind of broad topic like surrealism. So I want to see what creativity you can come up with. So I'm going to give you multiple choices, and you just have to choose one of them to come up with your own surrealism project, okay? So you are going to either, for your planning, you're going to either be sketching ideas or writing. So if you're not very good at drawing, you can be writing notes about it. Give me a written description of what you're going to do versus sketching or drawing it out, okay? All right, so just a quick rundown before I get into the examples of what your options are. There are a couple attached worksheets. You can either, so those that are online can download them or you can draw them out. Those of you in person, I can print them out for you or you can draw it based on what it looks like on Schoology. And then so I've got a couple of worksheets to help you get ideas. The next one, you can use one of your own photographs. So if you take a lot of pictures, you can look through your own photos to get ideas. And then take that photo, and then I have an example to show you like how one student took their original photo and then turned it into a surrealism idea. So some of you who are more maybe advanced, you might want to do that option. You can do another magazine collage. So you can use magazines to create a more complicated and larger collage. So if you liked the idea of cutting out the newspaper and collaging it together, this time if you're going to vote for the bigger one, you would be also creating the background. You wouldn't be finding a full image that's already ready for you to go to manipulate. Instead, you would have to create that background. You would take multiple backgrounds and collage them together for your background, and then collage your ideas on top of that. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's one idea. If you don't want to draw, then you do have the option to collage. Also within the magazine idea, you can also do the half drawing, half collage. So where you find where you draw part of it, but you also collage part of it. And so that would be called mixed media, where you're taking multiple ideas, drawing or painting, and magazine pictures, bringing them together into single artwork. That's called mixed media. We did that at the beginning of the year with the Sharpie and the watercolor with the pencil. That was also mixed media. We were taking multiple materials and bringing them together for a single artwork, a cohesive artwork. If you like the idea of sculpture, maybe you enjoyed the subtractive sculpture project. Not that you have to do another subtractive sculpture, but you could. Or you could take found objects like the one they showed us in the video that Salvador Dali did, where he took the lobster and put it on top of the telephone. But the problem is that's not going to take you 3 days worth of work, working 40 minutes a day, 40 to 50 minutes a day. So you would have to make multiple sculptures, or you would have to be able to make it really complex and complicated if you wanted to do the idea of sculpture. So if you are interested in sculpting or doing a sculpture, you are going to want to find objects to bring in. You're going to need the materials to hold these objects together. I do have, those of you who are in person, I do have like hot glue. That's pretty much the only material I'm going to have besides like Elmer's glue to help you hold something together. But sculpture is an option, okay? As well as those of you at home, you can also create found sculptures, but you're going to still have to be able to work the required amount of time. All right, and then the last one is that automatism. This was in that video from the introduction day when we were doing the research. Automatism is when you are drawing subconsciously. This would also require you to create multiple artworks, because you're not going to be spending 40 minutes to create one drawing, because by then you're thinking about it as opposed to doing it subconsciously. All right. So the requirements are that you spend, so for this assignment in particular, you need to spend at least 1 day planning and then submit your plans. Those of you in person, remember you can just show me in person. Those of you online, you're going to need to submit these plans. And I understand that plans can change, especially when you're creating your artwork. So you may need to submit new plans if your idea doesn't work out and you need a new one. All right, so you only need to choose one of these, not all of them. So the thumbnail sketches. So let's say you feel like you're already pretty creative and you kind of have a really good understanding of surrealism. you're going to be able to, I just want you to draw 4. I think there's like 9 boxes on this page. I just want you to draw 4 different sketched ideas and maybe choose one of them or take multiple ideas from them and combine it into one artwork. Okay, so it's just a way to help you plan, to figure out what you want to do. Okay, if you've already got some surreal ideas going on. Another one is, this next worksheet is based on a dream. It's called a dream brainstorm, and so it's got a lot of things that you would be writing. So if you don't really want to sketch ideas, but you maybe want to write ideas and then that lead to a sketch, this is an idea. Or even if you don't have a dream that you remember or something that's weird, if you can always like imagine, like in a dream, what would it look like? So you can always make it up. You can imagine it. You can imagine a dream if you want, or a nightmare. Okay, nightmares could work too for this. Okay, but then that would lead you to creating a sketch. Okay, the written part. All right, so this one I would consider more of an advanced option, where you're starting with a photo. Even though, so she had a photo she worked from. This was an Art 3 project we did. So she had a photo, then she painted, this was her grandfather. She painted a picture of her grandfather after she put braids in his hair. This was like her realism, like photorealism artwork. And then the next assignment was to take that realism painting and then turn it into surrealism. And so he kind of has like a bulbous nose. And so she kind of took his nose and like really enlarged it and then turned him into a moose. And so that is kind of like a form of surrealism. So if you have your own photos to work from, you are welcome to do that and manipulate them, see what creative things you can do to them to turn it into an artwork. You could also take your photo and do collage with it as well. Okay, if you were able to print it out, you could somehow turn that into part of a collage as well. All right, and you could draw or paint that. If you do this drawing version, I would want it to be in color. I wouldn't want it to just be strictly pencil. I would want you to at least use colored pencil, marker, something of color, paint, but not just pencil or graphite. All right, so here's those magazine options. So I want you to be able to create the background. So this one's a really good example. So the background is completely created from other pictures, multiple other pictures, like 1, 2, I think there's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 or 7 different pictures going on just in the background, not including all the groups of people that were found to create this, the main focal point. But the background, you can't just take a single page from a magazine and then manipulate it. We've already done that. You've got to take it one step further now and create your own background if you're going to choose this option. Okay. The other option with the collage is to half draw it and half collage it. So here's my example that I did the other day that I've been showing you guys in class. So it all started with the dog on a leash. And then from there, I found the little, I think these are like little jewels that look like a little vine of grapes, which I felt like could do something to manipulate the leash. And then I found this little ring that I thought, could be a bracelet for the dog. And then I wanted to show like a ghostly figure as opposed to a real figure holding the dog because people already hold dog leashes. So I wanted it to be something different, something more bizarre. So then I found my model, I found the dress that I liked, and then cut her arms and legs, neck, everything off. So I just had the dress. And then I found a pair of shoes that happened to kind of be at an angle that I felt like worked. And then I found a hat to kind of represent where her head would be. And then I used colored pencils to put in the detail of the background. So make sure if you're going to do this, your background does have to be detailed. So I've got lots of grass happening. I've got lots of colors. It's not just one big flat space. Okay, I took a lot of time to really create the depth and the height of the grass, as well as to create the aerial perspective of the sky to show that the furthest part away is the lightest, the part that is closest is the darkest, and as well as trying to show some clouds with colored pencils. Okay, so it's got to be very detailed. All right, next option. Create a surrealism artwork through sculpture with found objects, bought objects, magazine images, glued to cardboard so they can stand, and then a little stand so they can stand up. So you can make what's called a diorama, which is where you take like a shoebox or something, you take a box and you decorate the inside of it, but then you also take flat images and you basically attach them to something like cardboard or poster board and then make a little stand for them so they can stand up so it looks more three-dimensional. So you could create a whole little scene, some weird, bizarre scene inside of a shoebox, which would also count like towards that sculpture aspect. Or you could take the random found objects and find a way to put them together and connect them together to create a sculpture, okay? But you don't want it to be just a pile of junk thrown on top of each other. It needs to make sense, okay? It needs to somehow be believable as opposed to just a pile of junk. Make sense? Any questions yet? Okay. All right, and then the main thing is that no matter what option you choose, you need to be able to work on this project for at least 3 days, 3 full class days. So not including the planning, but after you're done planning, you need to be able to spend at least 120 minutes, so that's 40 minutes a day, over 3 days working on this summative project. I hope it takes you longer than that, but that's kind of the minimum, okay? And that's if you're working the whole time and not distracted by your phone and devices and things. Yes? All right. And then for those that are online, you will need to submit daily photos for those 3 days showing your 40 minutes of progress each day. And you can send me a message if you have any questions.